Hello and welcome. This is Kerry Ann, or this is Sanctum. I am Kerry Ann. Whichever comes first is absolutely fine. Thank you so much for joining us. And with me, as usual, I am joined with Natalie. Hello, Natalie.
Hi, everybody.
And this evening, we are being joined by Tonya and Amy. And I've done. Obviously, I know a little bit about you guys, but the first thing that's really prominent for me is that you're from Canada.
Yes.
I found that more I spoke to Amy, and I was like, oh, okay. So tell us, whoever wants to start first, tell us about you and how you ended up here on this show with us this evening, the journey that it got to that point as well.
Yes. So Tonya and I are Soulseekers Paranormal. We're paranormal investigators. We've been investigating for about 5 years. We have a long story about how we started. We could get into that if you'd like to later down the road in the episode. But yeah, we met, you guys, through Facebook and, all the networking in the hubs of paranormal world. Because it's a nice community, trying to meet everybody in the paranormal community. I find, Tonya and I were talking about this the other day, we find that the paranormal community is so insanely supportive. It is such a wonderful community. She's a naturopathic practitioner by trade, and I do a bunch of other things. I'm a busy person. Everything Amy is my website, so go check that out if you want. I do a little bit of everything. But yeah, we just, we are paranormal investigators. That's our first passion, our first love, and we are building our brand with Soulseekers. And we're so happy to be here with you guys today. So we thank you so much, and we obviously would love to talk about paranormal or wherever else the conversation takes us. We are happy to be on here with you guys today. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Absolutely. It's really good. Like you say, the paranormal community is quite it is supportive, and it's great to be able to network. And I find that the community is getting smaller as it gets bigger, because we're able to network so freely between different organizations, different teams, and there's so many different ideas, theories, hypotheses, however you want to look at it. There's always a discussion, there's always a narrative, and there's always an opportunity to learn. So I find that that is when it comes to the paranormal, that is where my passion lies, is that kind of shared experience of knowledge sharing and stuff. So that's fantastic. So you talk a little bit about your brand building, which is what you're doing right now, and where you are in your journey, which is fantastic. It's great, and being able to network with other organizations and teams. So where did it all begin? What happened? What started? Where was your first ghost hunt? How did that happen? And how did that go?
Go ahead, Tonya, you can take it away.
It was completely unrelated to paranormal ghost hunting at all. Amy is in the beauty industry, and I'm in the health and wellness and beauty industry. So we had rented an Airbnb for an event, and we were sleeping over because it was away from, it was in another province, like it was, a drive away. So we had to stay overnight. So we rented this Airbnb, and we had a bunch of people in for the event. And after the event, after everybody left, we were like picking out our bedrooms, and we're like, everybody went past this one bedroom. We're like, nope, not sleeping in that bedroom. And we all did it. And then we started like, what's up with that bedroom? And then we started to talk. And then I had some dowsing rods, and I got these dowsing rods, and they were like going like crazy every time we were asking questions, and Amy's eyes were like this big because she never even seen them before. And it was an insane active night. And that moment was the defining moment where we're like, okay, let's do this. This was amazing. We got to do this. So that's how it happened.
So how did you end up with dowsing rods in your overnight bag then?
Well, I'm into all this. Like I'm a witch. I do like healing. I do Reiki. I do energy work. Like, so I've been in the spirit world, well, since I can remember. Like, I've had paranormal experiences for like I don't know, 30 years probably, 25 for sure. So it's just always been a world. So I'll have pendulums, dowsing rods, crystals, like you name it. All the stuffed crystals in my bra. I'll wear a pendulum, whatever.
I have to admit, I've had crystals in my trousers pockets, but I've never actually put them down my bra before now, I have to admit.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
not
an avid bra packer. Absolutely. The more crystals you can get in there, under, around, the better. I am guarded, protected, divine. That is me. I think the biggest one I've ever carried is a amethyst heart that was probably the same size as my fist. So that was quite weighty. But needs must. It was a difficult day.
Yeah.
You take off your bra and all these crystals like clink, clink, clink on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, oh, I
Right.
forgot about that one. I forgot about that one. Yeah. So when you work within the paranormal, so my brain's making all these connections. It's very kind of like slow with the uptake. So I do apologize. But with the paranormal, you talk about the crystals. Do you bring that into your paranormal work? Crystal gridding and things like that?
Yeah, we use a lot for protection. So we'll use crystals. We'll do essential oils to protect like vulnerable spots on ourselves, and so we do use that in with the paranormal investigating too, because we're both intuitives as well. So we're both very sensitive, and we can channel and stuff. So we take that into the investigation with all the tools, which is it's a lot of fun to do it that way.
Great.
What's your favourite crystal to use then when you're on ghost hunts? Do you just take a selection and pick what you want on the night, or have you got go-to crystals for ghost hunting?
Amy, do you want to take that?
Now, I have a little pile of go-to ones. Like there was a necklace that I was wearing. It had a tiger eye on it forever, but I lent it to one of my friends and she never gave it back. So my tiger eye is gone. But I have a tiger eye ball. Am I still here? I feel like
Yes.
okay. Right. So I have a little tiger eye ball. I have obsidian. I have my selenite. I always like to have the selenite for sure. I have some amethyst, rose quartz. Black tourmaline. What were you gonna say?
Black obsidian.
Black obsidian. So we have a lot of the dark grounding ones, but then ones, and then we have the healing ones. So it's like we have a little package of like all of them because you never know what you're gonna need.
Absolutely. And when you think about the energy that the crystals manifest, being able to do experiments in, for example, if you have a room that you know has some activity in, being able to do an experiment with some, for example, a quartz point, seeing what the activity is like when that quartz in the room, removing the quartz and then seeing what the activity is like after, gives you a good idea about what kind of crystals can amplify the energy for that to be able to be used as a manifestation tool for spirit to be able to make themselves known, whether that is the engagement with the technology or whether it is the physical tap twice if you're not here kind of situations that we all love. So that's always a fun experiment that I like to do when it comes to being quite versatile in the ways that we use crystals as well.
Yeah. Well, where I live is a lot of quartz. Like like I'm living on a big pile of quartz. Like there's a waterfall I swim in that's 5-minute walk, and the whole side of the waterfall is quartz. Like this whole area is just like one big. And Amy can testify to that. My house is active all the time. Yeah, like you talk to anybody here, and like there's so many places that are haunted, and I think it's just because we're literally being amplified by this quartz that our houses are on. Like it's everywhere, so it definitely makes a difference, I think.
Yeah, I wondered that because the area where we are, it's clay. The soil is clay, and I always wondered whether the microcrystals in the soil actually affected the geomagnetic energy of the area. And because we get a lot of activity here, and like you say, I always wondered whether it was like the crystals in the soil, weirdly, as daft as it sounds, little tiny crystals are amplifying whatever's there. But
there actually is there's a study done by Konstantin Karatkov around the geofields, and they look at high high kind of, so for example, we've got one area where there seems to be always, and you got a walking area, walkway, and there seems to be more accidents happening in that walkway than anywhere else in that area. And they actually connected it to having a higher geo field than others. And it's the same as when it comes to when you have holy grounds and stuff like that, there seems to be a link between that. So I thought that was really interesting to have like a kind of like a light read before bed. But yeah, so the geo massively, I believe, I think anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes a big difference.
Do you find that having so much quartz where you live is difficult? Because I never used to be able to walk into crystal shops. I could go in, and then about 10 or 15 minutes I'd have to shoot out again because the sheer volume of rocks that was in there. I can't imagine sort of having my house sitting on basically a giant quartz crystal in a roundabout kind of way. Do you find it difficult, or do you find it actually helps?
Yeah, well, even like the swimming, like the waterfall that we swim at, and Amy's been there multiple times. When you come out, like you feel buzzy, and so like it feels good though. I love quartz, right? So quartz is so programmable. So for me, it's like I'm like my house. It may be very active, but it's very like people want to be here. It's comfortable, like it's a good feeling. There's tons of activity, but it's like a good like you feel good. You want to be here. So like whenever I live in a home, I make sure I manifest and that I program the area to be to my highest good. So it's yeah, when you work with them, because I do crystal healing, so I work with crystals. So it's like a relationship. So I build a relationship with them, and quartz is one of my favorites. So I like living on a quartz, a big giant quartz.
With you using crystals so much then, do you find, because like there's quite a few sort of healers and things that believe that certain of the crystals have like a consciousness of their own, do you tend to find that some, because I've got talking about black obsidian, I got this black obsidian point that's about 4 inches high, and it was a beautiful piece of rock, and I was so drawn to it. And the lady in the crystal shop, a week later, I went back and said, that blooming crystal's a pain in the neck, because as soon as I took it home, it drew everything out of the house that was in there. And she was laughing. She says, well, I nearly warned you about that when you took it, but she said, I thought you'd be able to handle it. And it's like, so this particular crystal, it's sulking with me a bit because I fell out with it. But yes, it just pulled everything. And I was in an old house at the time, and I got so much stuff happening over the next like week or two. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then I realized the crystal itself, I mean, it's been quiet since because I had a bit of a word with it, but it definitely has, because I nearly took it back to the crystal shop, and I think it sulked with me because I threatened to take it back. But it does seem to have a lot more character than some of the other crystals that I've just randomly picked up over the years. So do you find that certain crystals seem to have a sort of character of its own?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you were drawn to that, then for me, that's like a contract that you have with that crystal. It's like you're going to work with me, and working with the crystal may not necessarily be an easy ride. Like it may not. It may be an interesting bumpy ride.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So do you have a favorite crystal at home then that you work with, or do you have one particular favorite, or are they all sort of like, say, as and when you need, they kind of come to you?
So Amy bought me for Christmas a moldavite. So I don't know if you've heard of moldavite. It's a very, very, very high vibration crystal, and actually for some people, like when it might make you even throw up. I've known people that when they've held it, they've actually became nauseous and thrown up because it's so high vibration. But Amy, do you want to tell the story about how I lost my first moldavite as to why you needed to buy me this one?
It's really cool. So Tonya is like one of the protectors of the moldavites, because like she said, it's a powerful one that not everyone can touch. and she had this moldavite ring on, and we went on, a weekend where we were doing investigating and doing, was it the shaman weekend? It was that weekend, wasn't it? So we were doing our shamanism weekend, and it was such a crazy night. So we had just finished doing some investigating, and we were driving out from the location, and the house drove us like it was such a crazy active house. Like, we actually got pushed out of the house. Like, it was like, we have to leave. It was thunking and bunking, and like, it was like, pretty much get out of there. Like we could hear furniture moving in the basement, and like, we weren't even in the basement, but you could hear things moving and thunking. So we left. We're driving in the car, and it was raining, and then all of a sudden it started to lightning, and our car, it was like this flash. It like, we know our car got hit by lightning, because it literally, whoop, the whole car lit up, and like, all of us couldn't even see straight. Like, we were like, it was so bright. The car lit up, and Tonya, out of like some kind of protective move, she just kind of did something with her hand. Like, she put up in the air and was like, like she put her hand up, like she almost like She-Ra or like He-Man, whoa, like she puts her arm up in the sky, like touching the top of the roof of the car. And we're driving, so like we were all like, did our car just get hit by lightning? Like, what just happened? Like, the car lit up, and we were like, okay. We get back to or Tonya, we're kind of like decompressing, and Tonya looks at her ring, and she notices the moldavite's gone. It's gone out of her ring. Like, it was a normal ring. She had it there, like it was there. But after like that whole light thing happened, the moldavite completely disappeared out of her ring. Nowhere to be found. And there's no reason why it would disappear, fall out, or anything, because she's had that ring for a while. Like, we didn't do anything weird. Just, we get struck by lightning, the car lights up, and it's like, pah! And then boom, the moldavite's gone. And she had another ring too beside it, that purple one. The purple stone was gone out of that one too. It was like, whatever stone she had in her rings were protecting us, because they all disappeared. They didn't crack.
It cracked. It was still there, but it cracked.
That one cracked. So the moldavite disappeared. The purple one cracked. So we know it was an energetic something or other happened to us, because it was like, it was insane. And there was more stuff that kind of happened that night. A lot of wonky stuff that happened. Like, I totally went somewhere else. In another part of that story, it was like I zoned out and went somewhere, came back. Tonya was like, she said I was talking to her the whole time, but I was like, I was not talking to you. Like weird stuff happened that night. Just saying, didn't we find something? Didn't someone lose something and we found it on the shelf afterwards? Something reappeared where we lost it, and then all of a sudden it was like
my family ring.
Your family ring, yeah, because that disappeared too. Her other ring disappeared out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, like after everything was done, and we go back to the Airbnb and we're decompressing about what happened. Like, I zone out, do this thing, and then all of a sudden, didn't I get up out of nowhere after I was in a trance? I walked up, I walked to the sink, and I went, here it is, and I gave it to you. And you're like, what are you talking about? I went into some kind of a trance, and I went and I picked up the ring as if I knew it was there, but I wouldn't even known her ring was there. And why was her ring there? She had them on the whole time. They were in the car, but somehow they returned that ring. The family ring was returned, and it was put on above the sink. Wow. And it was like, I came out of this trance and I went right to the sink and gave her the ring. It was such a weird night. It was so crazy.
Yeah. It sounds like you had a lot going on that night. It's like, because sometimes when you get like really intense activity like that, and like you say, something that definitely wanted you out, you do tend to find the weather follows. You'll get weird weather patterns and strange things like that. But I've not heard about like ring crystals and rings actually disappearing like that. It's just mad.
Oh, it was wild. And like, no one will believe us if we tell them these things, but we know what we experienced and we know what happened. Like, she keeps her rings on. She doesn't take them off. Like, where would the moldavite go? Why would this one all of a sudden be cracked? And why would we, out of nowhere, I just get up out of this trance and go, here's your ring, and take it off the sink out of nowhere? Like, what? Like, it was just crazy.
Wow. I bet that took a few days to come down from that night. That was a thing.
That was something.
Well, we were doing a very intense, deeply spiritual healing weekend with like a an incredible woman who was a shaman. So she's a master. Like, she's one of those people you just look at and you're like, wow, like, you have the knowledge, you have the wisdom, like, you can just feel this power that radiates off of her. And so we were working 3 days intense. So like our psychic, like, these things were super heightened during that period. So like, I've had crazy things happen, especially when you do this work. So this kind of stuff it's crazy to other people, but this is not that like weird for us. Hey, Amy, like, we've had some really interesting experiences.
We
I
could
think
share so many stories from the last 5 years. So many.
I think that's what makes the paranormal so unique, is that it can be objective, like we can share an experience. However, it's very subjective in terms of how we interpret our experiences and what they mean to us. We can all share the same experience, but we'll come away with different versions of that. So I think that's what makes the paranormal really interesting. It does sound like you guys obviously vibe really well and get the most out of your experiences, which is fantastic. So thinking a little bit about some of the places that you've been, and you've spoken about the Airbnbs, which I'll be honest with you, it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, because it seems to be a missed opportunity in the market, is these Airbnbs, especially when you have these like quite historic and listed buildings. So when we think about like some of the places that you've been to, is there anywhere that you went at first you didn't expect with the paranormal, or is there somewhere that you would go back if you had the opportunity to? Yeah.
Oh, I think Amy's frozen. I'm not too sure how to rectify that.
So that's
I don't
Sometimes
know if she can.
sometimes it'll unfreeze itself if your connection's a little bit wonky.
yep,
Okay.
and be able to
She
come
can
back
probably
in.
jump back in, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we just had, I think it was about a little over a month ago, we had a group investigation at a museum here locally. And I'd heard that there was activity, so we thought this would be a great one to do a group event with, right? Didn't expect, but, expected the usuals, getting some hits. But what happened was crazy. And so all the participants were there that witnessed it when there's 20 of us. And so when you have that many people experience something, how do you deny that? So I was on one floor with a group, like, because we divided them up. Amy was on the other. We both were speaking to a little boy named David. We didn't know that till we connected, but we were both speaking to David. And my group, so when I went downstairs to tell Amy, like, I'm talking to a little boy named David, Amy's like, I'm talking to a little boy named David. And so we were talking, and then we hear this big, like, crash, like this big thunk, and we hear screaming. The group upstairs had a Chucky doll that was in a coffin in the props room thrown across the room. And they didn't see it because they were leaving the room. They heard it turned around, and the Chucky doll, which had been in the coffin, had been thrown across the room so hard that there was mannequin legs. The mannequin legs fell down on top of the Chucky doll. It got chucked across the room.
Wow.
That was just like a month ago.
I do have a question. What kind of museum was you in that had a Chucky doll in a coffin?
They had like a props room, so it was like Halloween stuff, Christmas stuff, like Easter
Wow.
stuff. So it was all the props that they have that they would put up seasonally. And I know why was there a Chucky doll in the museum?
Yeah,
Okay.
they do a really cool haunted house in the winter time, or sorry, in Halloween. Like, they go all out for their Halloween, and so that was just the props that were there. It was just the prop room that was in there, and that was crazy. I've never seen anything so craziness in my life.
So of all the things it could have thrown across the room, it decides to throw the Chucky doll, not Santa or
No.
the Easter Bunny, but actually Chucky.
Well, what's really weird about that? So a girl that was with us on the investigation, before she came to the investigation, she purposely, like, she had a purse, and she changed purses. So she had one purse with her, and no reason, she just said, you know what, I'm going to change it to this coffin purse. She has a purse in the shape of a coffin. So she switches from one purse to the other purse. And then she also decides to switch last minute her wallet. she changes her wallet from a regular wallet to her Chucky wallet. So she literally manifested this because she put her Chucky wallet in a coffin purse. And then this happens. The Chucky doll was sitting in the coffin and gets thrown out of the coffin. Like,
Wow.
I can't explain.
You can't make it up when you get coincidences like that, can you? I mean, the odds.
No.
The odds of it happening are just like so small. You know, when everyone goes on about, oh, it's just a coincidence, you think, well, like, say, what are the actual chances of that happening? It's like,
and there's no such thing as coincidences either. Let's be honest to ourselves.
Yeah. No coincidences. Everything is just, divinely orchestrated. Things are happen for a reason. Like, you could sit there and say, oh, that's a coincidence. Really though, you took your one wallet that you don't normally use, changed it to another wallet, and then put it in another purse that you don't usually use, and the combination was a Chucky wallet inside a coffin purse. And then we see this Chucky doll appear in a coffin, like at the place that we're at. The Chucky doll is inside the coffin. Like, it's like,
the obelisk even said, because she had connected quite a bit with the spirits, and especially the little boy, and the obelisk said, like, basically take your purse off, like purse, like, and her purse was a coffin. So there was a lot of like, with the equipment, a lot of validation that was going on. We have it on our YouTube. It's, I think, our second last video we just posted. We have, the only thing that we're so upset about was that because we were doing an event, we weren't setting it up to film. We didn't have a camera in the props room. We just have them filming each other after they turned the lights on when they heard the crash and realizing that this doll had been thrown. So we're going this next Saturday. We're definitely setting up cameras in that props room.
Absolutely. And I feel like there needs to be a change of name from props room to the opening scenes of Nightmare Before Christmas, with the different trees. That's where that's how it should be referred to from now on. But I think that's the only thing about paranormal research is when you don't know until you know when it comes to where things need to be, especially with hotspots. And even when you do your due diligence to the best of your ability, there is always that one, that the red herring, isn't it, or the one that gets away. And I think, yeah, and you kick yourself for it because you think absolutely that is incredible. So I know you said you're going to go back there, but is there anywhere, if you could, one of my fun questions I like to ask when people come on is, if there is anywhere that you could go and investigate, money is no object, where would it be? And why? Why would it be there?
Amy?
is it Jerome down in Arizona?
Well, I'd love to go to Jerome, but I think that we're actually going to Hinsdale House in October.
Oh, yeah, we're going there. Oh, yeah. We're going to Hinsdale in October.
wow.
So for us, that's quite the journey. It's about, by driving, I think it's probably 18 hours. So it's a journey we're going to take. But we've booked it. It's interesting because when we were planning our trip, we were thinking it was somewhere else. And so we booked it. And then when we realized it was actually 18 hours away, we canceled it. But then we kept like having dreams, and like I was like, we have to go back. I don't care if it's 18 hours driving, like it is calling. Amy had dreams, our other friend that's going us, like, come on. We're all having dreams. This thing's calling us. This house wants us there for whatever reason. So we call back to rebook it, and it had never been canceled, even though we had canceled it.
Wow.
So I guess we're meant to go there.
Oh, well, I'm going to look forward to that YouTube video because that sounds like the makings of a horror film.
Yeah, Amy's always freaking out.
I won't watch the videos Tonya sends me because I am so terrified to go to this place, and I don't want to know, because if I know, I can't unknow it. And like every time we talk about it, like, Tonya, I'm just gonna barf. It's probably the scariest place that we've ever gone will be there. It's gonna be so insane, and I don't want to know what happened there before, because I don't want to know.
No,
I just want to
and
go. Happens.
absolutely. You want to avoid that unconscious bias because that's always something that kind of sits on people's backs when in terms of like investigating. So for those that don't know this location, don't really know, you know, without giving Amy too many spoilers, Tonya. So what does that look like? What is at that house that is calling you for this very interesting YouTube show that's going to be published in a little while? Found footage, possibly.
Share what Amy already knows. Um, it involves serial killers. It involves a dumping ground of the Hells Angels, which is like a biker gang of bodies. There's just a lot. There was a massacre of Native Americans there. There's just a lot. And so it's odd because we call ourselves a feel good, like we're generally not attracted to that type of thing, but there's something that's calling us there. And I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that's going to look like. But the fact that we thought we were booking something else, we booked it, we thought we canceled it, it wasn't canceled. We're all having dreams about it. I think it's going to be pretty intense. Amy's already crying. She's already peeing her pants a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with Amy.
Yeah. She's like, what? What's happening here?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
the one that screams and runs when we do investigations. Like, I love it. I love investigating. Can't get enough of it. But I'm always the one. First of all, I had to be in the middle every time. I'll never be on the end, and I never want to be in the front. I always whittle myself in the middle of everybody, no matter what we're doing, sleeping, hunting, whatever. I'm in the middle, and I'm always the one screaming and running and farting and peeing my pants and doing all the things. Like,
someone has to.
Yeah.
Someone has to be that person. If you're going to take one for the team, Amy, absolutely.
Yeah, the pair of you seem to have like quite high energy, and you work on quite a few different levels all at the same time. It's quite possible that a house is sick of people investigating its dark side. Maybe it wants to show a different side of itself, you know, or there's things there that are vibing on a different level that don't get to communicate very often. So that's why they want you to go, because it's like, hey, we might get a chance to speak for a change, rather than
with that. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's like, and I'm sure you know too, because you've probably collaborated with people and you've done these types of things, that everybody brings a different energy. So like we could go into the same place and have a completely different experience. So, but that's what I love about it. And I think too, that's part of the reason as a whole, this community is so supportive and so like, hey, let's collab, let's do stuff, because you're going to bring a different energy. And so something completely different could happen. Like we could be in the same location 10 times, but I bring somebody else and now something else happens. So I do feel like we're very lighthearted. Like we're always laughing and joking, and we come into it with like a lightheartedness. So it's interesting you say that. Maybe that is what it is that there is other elements that aren't maybe necessarily being addressed. So maybe that's why it's wanting us there. I don't know.
I was telling my mom today, actually, I was talking about it, and I said, it is strange that we are craving to go there. I said, but we always say we bring the light into the dark. So there's a reason why we're meant to go there for some reason. Like we are, going to go into that dark, but we might bring some light into it. Or like you said, there's something, maybe some lighter things that want to communicate and come through that never get a chance to, because the dark is always taking over, because everyone's going looking for the scare jumps and, all the dark demony stuff. And we're not actually looking for that. We're not drawn to it for that reason. We just are drawn to it. And we've been called there because everything happened that we shouldn't be there. And now we have to go. Like, it's just, we know we're meant to go there, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens when we go, and to see if we get something completely different than what other people get, because the reasons why we're going there and we're being called there, it might be a lot different than other people's.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's that potential of being able to share a story that's not been told yet. So, and also if you're used to it could be as well, if I think a little bit about some of the stories you share, there's like a connection to spirits of children and stuff there. So yeah, who knows? So if for example, when that show comes out, where can people find that? When would they be looking? What time of year are we looking? What is that? looking like for those that might want to get involved or look online?
Yeah.
We're going the second week of October, so by the time editing, I would like to have it out for Halloween. It'll be out by Halloween for sure on our YouTube. So it's Soulseekers. We have a Soulseekers Paranormal YouTube. We post everything on there, all sorts of stuff, because we just like to share our journey. Like, we just love to share a different side, a lighter side, a goofy side, a funny side, because we're always just cracking up. We get ridiculous after midnight. Amy loses her marbles after midnight. She goes completely goofy. And you're going to see some very good EVP sessions on our YouTube. I'm just kidding. Amy cannot be quiet for 2 seconds to do an EVP.
We have to say, we try. I can't do an EVP session. We try, and I'm like dying, holding myself from like talking and laughing. Like, we get right serious, like, what's your name? Where are you from? And I'm just like, yeah. I can't handle it. Like, everyone gets right serious when they're asking their questions. I can't even talk about the EVP sessions. It makes me laugh just talking about them.
I used to be like that on answer phones. It's like you sort of sitting there thinking, I'm just talking to nothing right now. This is utterly ridiculous. At least if you're doing an EVP, you like to think there's somebody there that will answer you rather than. Perhaps you should try changing the questions a little bit. And it's like, do you prefer tea or coffee or chocolate or cookies?
She would die. She would die if we asked, because we're actually asking some decent questions, but she still thinks that's hilarious.
Maybe just under this.
Tonya, if you're like, do you prefer chocolate, sugar, salty, or sweet?
Do you know what? I think some automatic writing for Amy would be absolutely the dream. So when you've got that EVP going, just put that blindfold over her eyes and a pen in her hand, and everything else is nil part. Even better, you get some noise cancelling headphones on.
Yep.
Blindfold, a pen. Amy can go into a trance, whatever, that kind of altered state. And then if you can combine the two, well, what evidence comes up of automatic writing, if it backs up in your EVP, even better. And then you can laugh about it afterwards.
That's a good idea, actually. Maybe do like the Estes method with a different, like she could automatically write and do the Estes method while we're going to dedicate that to you guys.
We're going to,
you know what?
We're going to shout you out and tag you in that part of the video, because when that comes out, because that is a great idea, because I do automatically. I was trying to find.
You know what would be even better? If me and Natalie joined you by video link.
Absolutely.
What? Yeah, come on in. You should join us. Yeah.
Done. It's done. We're there. The house is calling us too.
Fly and visit us, or we'll fly over and visit you too sometime. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely. We can make Absolutely. There's some wonderful places I can show you.
Oh my gosh, where exactly?
Meet us at the Hinsdale House. Maybe meet us at the Hinsdale House in October.
Come down to New York.
If we start having dreams, we'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to be fair, it'll probably take us less time to get there. I think it's like 9 hours in a flight. So
yeah, we'll pick you up at the airport. There we go.
Absolutely. Perfect. It's done.
Yes. Oh
What
my gosh.
we need, if we get Chucky doll lady with the coffin bag, if we get her on this manifesting, who knows? Get her involved, we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. He has some manifesting powers to the extreme. So yeah, let's get Sando on that. Amazing. But I do love that idea though, Tonya, of doing the automatic writing. Put me that way, I'm not listening to you guys and laughing. I'm like, just tune everything out for me and let me write. And then while you guys are doing that would be a cool experiment.
Also, if you further on that, you can even have it. So I know you said you use the Oculus, but if you have the SB7 Spirit Box, if you put noise cancelling headphones in, blindfold, then all your job would be, Amy, is just to say what you hear. So
Yeah.
the questions, you won't be able to hear the questions being asked. So essentially, we call that sensory deprivation. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't hear any of the questions being asked, but you definitely, if there's questions, if there's answers. So for example, I'll tell you a quick story. I do apologize. We were at Colchester Castle, and we were in the dungeon. I don't know if you've heard of. You've got the witch trials. We had the witch trials over here. So we had the witch finders general, who obviously boo hiss, but he used to take his women, that his victims, to Colchester Castle, and he used to hold them at the prisons. And we did a sensory deprivation with a woman and her mum, and her mum was the human pendulum. So we had a human pendulum going. So mum was the conduit, and we were asking questions. And in it, this woman had headphones, and she's the daughter, and she's here, and she's backing up everything we're getting. She's backing it up. And at the end, we kind of built a story about a woman that was held at the prisons for a crime that she didn't commit, that she had taken responsibility because one son had harmed the other son, and rather than letting her son go to prison, she took the punishment. However, she was put in the men's prison, which was downstairs, and she was treated atrociously. Well, as we're telling this story and recapping, the woman took the daughters took their headphones off, and all she heard was basically, your child killed the other child. And she's like, what? Like, no, not now, not living like her real life. We're talking about the person she connected with. She's like, oh, okay. But she had felt like her mum had confessed to this horrible crime. But it is a really interesting to be able to have the backup from the electronics with the conduit, and if you've got the K2 in there as well. Holy trilogy, absolutely wonderful. And it all backs each other up, and you can't influence each other. There's no subliminal or unconscious bias there, because they're not involved in that. They're just speaking, basically, their voices. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, in a castle. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, we have some fantastic. We've got a couple of more events there. And there's Manor House on that. We've been quite fortunate this year, and we've been able to get into some locations which have not had investigations there yet, or we've had access to parts where there hasn't been any access there before. But this castle, Colchester Castle, is stunning, with so much history. To the local area in the country. So yeah, it was we were really lucky, really lucky.
Where are you guys located exactly?
So I love this question because Natalie hates it when I answer for us both. You see, I'm in Essex, so I'm just outside London, and so I'm considered southern. And Natalie is anything north of London, south of London.
North
of London is, I consider, up north, which Natalie would disagree.
Because
I had
a
a dream 2 nights ago that I was in London.
Pardon?
I had a dream 2 nights ago that I was in London.
There you go.
Well, you'd be closer to Kerry than me. Oh, actually. Yeah,
because Natalie's up north.
Yeah, I'm not up north. I'm in the middle. I'm in the Midlands. So, like, the southerners in the UK, anything north of London is the north. But to the northerners, I'm still in the middle, and I'm not a northerner because northerners farther up than me. So we have this argument all the time because she's a southerner and she doesn't know anything about the rest of the country.
Absolutely not.
I'm in the middle.
But that is so weird. When you guys just said London, it's like I just flashed to my dream, and I had my kids with me, and me and Tonya went on a ghost hunt, and I had my kids with me, and we were in London because I said, "Oh, do you guys excited to be in London?" And I'm saying this to my kids that we were in London.
Wow.
So, what were you when you say when you was on a ghost hunt? What did that look like?
When we go on a ghost hunt?
If in your dream in London.
I just remember we were there to be on a ghost hunt. I had my kids with me. We weren't ghost hunting at the time, but in the dream, we were there because we were going to be investigating, but we had the kids were with us. It was like in the daytime, and at nighttime in my head, I knew we were going to be working that night, but I had the kids with me. But it was specifically, I made a point of saying, hey kids, how are you enjoying London? Like I said London specifically to the kids in my dream.
Who knows? You might be joining us at the castle, although it's not quite in London. It's not that far, though, I will say. But who knows?
No, but like I don't know, that like we could be, going for a visit of London while we're up. We do a ghost hunt with you guys, and then all of a sudden we go on a sightseeing tour and make our way down to London. I have friends that live in London as well, and in where does Gemma live? Hansport? Is it called Hansport? Hansport? No, I can't remember where she lives. Anyways, I know a couple of people that live over in England somewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere.
So, yeah. So it's either, yeah. Well, thinking about investigating in the UK, is there anywhere in particular that you've heard of that you'd be like, I would love to go there?
Castles.
Literally, I was going to say literally any castle, because there's
Okay.
castles in Canada. We don't have castles. That's not a thing.
So next time we're at Colchester Castle, we'll definitely link, and then you can join us by Teams, or you can by Skype if you want to dust off the old Skype as we're doing now, or however you want to join. We can have that happen. We can take you down to the prison.
So cool.
Oh
That'd
my
be-
gosh, so cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for us, I think if I was to go over to the States, one of the places I definitely want to go to, I'm hoping to go. It's meant to be a big birthday kind of destination for me when I have a big birthday. I definitely want to go to like Cape Cod and Salem,
That's cool.
Savannah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cape Cod and Salem is like, we were there 2 years ago. It's like we drive up there. It's not that far.
Oh,
So
really?
that's southern US. And so we're here, like we're southern, like we're Canada. So we're on the ocean, the same ocean as Cape
Oh,
Cod.
wow.
So we're about to get into the States from here. It might be a 5-hour drive. Not bad.
Not too bad. See, a 5-hour drive, I could like cover the whole of the UK, maybe one end to the other, possibly. We're not.
So our continent is huge. Last year I drove across, not even all the way across, and it took me 6 days.
Oh, wow.
Like it's huge. It's huge. Canada, no, that's Canada. Canada's here, US is here. The whole continent. I drove all the way across, and I'm talking like 10-hour, 11-hour days. It's like 50 some hours solid driving.
Wow. Yeah. So that would be really interesting. Imagine that. Imagine being able to do, because I know that you can do like tours of like New England or, southern states, but could you imagine doing like a tour where you just investigate new locations? Like you have one night and then a day and then a night and then, that would be, you heard it here first.
Yeah, we were talking about that, about like doing like bus tours and bringing people along to do certain locations,
Yeah,
because that would just be so fun.
absolutely. That would be incredible as well. I think you could take that anywhere as well. Like even in the UK, we have got, like in my area, for example, I've spoken about the witch trials, but we obviously we have Mistley, which is connected to the Witchfinder General, and they do tours around there, and it's really interesting. But yeah, that would be really cool. So when you go on ghost, sorry, my brain's just gone. And next, sorry. So when you go on your investigations, what's your can't leave the house without it gadget, and divination tool, for example? So one electronic, one divination.
Ah, that's tough. I love the pendulum. Sorry, not pendulums. I love dowsing rods. I love pendulums too, but I love dowsing rods. And for electronic, that's tough. Honestly, probably like the spirit box, like the SP7. Like honestly, that's like classic. And we've had some really, really incredible communication with that. I mean, the other stuff is bonus, of course. But I do love the classic old school, just like ghost box.
Yeah, mine is like 10 years old, and I take it to the electronic hospital to get sorted out every now and then, because I think, do not die on me. What do you mean you are not working? Absolutely not acceptable. So I don't take it, and then they look at it and then they go, okay, no, it's all sorted now, and I'm okay for a bit. But yeah, I love mine. Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Natalie?
Hey.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I was just watching what Amy's holding
I
up.
know. I saw that for those that can't see. What is that in your hand? What was you? the beautiful assistant. What was that you was modeling?
So this is my favorite. So my favorite is the pendulum, and it's the one specifically that Tonya gave me. It was my first pendulum. She gave it to me. I take it on every ghost hunt. I always have it with me for divination. I never leave without it. It's my favorite one, and it's special to me. So my pendulum that Tonya gave me. But then for equipment, like we've got literally everything. We just got the Alice box. So excited to break that out in the next investigation. We've got the obelisk, the SLS. Like we've got thermal guns. We've got like literally everything you can imagine, all the spirit boxes and headphones and yada, yada, yada. I have two things here I'm going to show you. This is one of my favorites. I love this one. So this is a music box, and it looks like a coffin. It's the PMB music box, and it's motion censored, so it will start going when something goes by it. It will start going off. That's fun. This was my favorite until we discovered Dead Bell. So Dead Bell is my new ultimate favorite. It is a fan favorite amongst our groups. When we have group investigations, everyone loves the bell. They're intrigued by this bell. They can't understand this bell. They're like, what the heck? Skeptics become believers when they encounter this bell, because the bell will not do anything unless something goes by it, and it will ding if something is there. And it is the most amazing experience. And the fun part is like sometimes you ask the spirit, like, just ding once for yes or two for no, and it will literally go ding or ding ding. Like it answers you. It's beyond amazing. So this is called Dead Bell.
Nice.
Wow.
I have a quick question. So both of those are two pieces of equipment I'm not familiar with, and I'm not gonna say that I am the font of all knowledge at all. But where do you keep up to date with your the equipment that comes out? Is it through, you know, working with other teams? Are you catching things hot off the press? What's going on?
I go on the websites of the ghost hunting tools, and I put all of it in my cart. Tonya
Nice.
calls me an and person. I'm not an or person. I'll send her a cart of things, and I'll be like, hey, do you like any of these things? She's like, yeah, this one's cool. This one's cool. I'm like, okay, getting it all. I can't just pick one. I'm like, I can't. It's not you want this, or this. It's no, I want this, and this.
And this.
Oh yeah, and this on top of that.
What was cool with the jet bill was at that same location where we did the event at the museum is, so the spirits had been using the bell to communicate with our group the whole night. And I was like, we need to break out the SLS. So the SLS maps the stick figures. And so I said, let's put it on the bell and see if we can map out who's ringing the bell. And it did. And we caught it. And this is all on our YouTube, where we're like, could you please ring the bell? And you could see the stick figure like reaching up, because it was like on the witness stand in a courthouse. You could see the little hand reach up and go, could you ring the bell? Ding. Like when you kind of evidence, and then we'd say, could you ring the bell twice? Ding, ding. Like we were all just losing it. How do you explain that?
Amazing. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'll definitely go and be having a quick look. I will say, we are coming to the end of the show, and I think this is going to tie in quite nicely, because you talk about where we can see the evidence and some of the things you're experiencing and where you share. So where can people find you? Do you do your lives? Do you do lives on investigations? Do you do public events, sorry? Where can everyone find this?
The best place would be to go to our website, because that's our hub. We have current videos up there. We have current promotions up there. Like you can find everything you want to know. You can find all our social media platforms from our website. So the best thing would be do is check out our website at www.soulseekersparanormal.com, and then you can go anywhere you want from there.
Perfect. Okay. And are you on Facebook? How can people reach out to you? Is it again just for your website?
Yeah, like you can go Soulseekers Paranormal if you'd like. On Facebook, it's there. But the best thing I would do is just go on our website, and then you can hyperlink. We have all links to all of our social platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, things like that. So you can definitely find us through there. And all our events are up on our website. The current events are there, and anything that we're going to be speaking at or visiting or anything like that, it'll all be up there.
Perfect. And I think the last question I have is, what have you got coming up next?
Oh, we got lots. We got a lot of things in the pipeline. So I was going to say, besides Hinsdale, Hinsdale's in October, but we have a packed July, and we're starting to pack in August. So we have our group tours, and we have a bunch of them coming up. And we have an overnight paranormal retreat coming up as well, where we're taking people overnight at a haunted lodge. We have some restaurants that we're going to where we're going to have dinner and then the ghost hunt. We have the one this weekend where we're going back to that museum that we had the Chucky doll happen. We're going to go follow up with these spirits that threw the Chucky doll. We want to know who did that, and we want to connect with the Davids and see what they're up to. But yeah, Tonya, anything else that you want to add what we're doing, what we're up to? Oh, we're launching our beer next month.
Yeah, that too.
There's that too.
We have a Booberry beer. We have a local brewery that has made a special beer for us called Booberry.
So it's a blueberry ale, so it's blueberry favorite beer, and we call it Booberry.
Blueberry, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How many cans of it have you taste tested so far?
Well, I tasted a couple. They taste really good.
The thing is, like, Amy and I don't really drink, not for any reason other than, like, we're already so, like, goofy and high up there that it's like we're not much for drinking, but we both tasted it and it's really yummy. But people in our lives like to drink beer, so that'll work.
Exactly. And we do this thing, like our events where we do the food and the ghost hunt, like the dinner and the ghost hunt. It's like our food and spirits division of our events, because we do multiple types of events. So the food and spirits events, food and spirits, like drink but spirits, play on words. Haha.
I see what you did there.
So our food and spirits is one division of one of our events, and so we thought it would be great to complement if we have our beer for people to drink at the event. They can have a beer and have some food, and then and then go hunt some spirits. So yeah, kind of goes.
So Kerry, when are we moving out to Canada?
Today. Is it Susan? Is Susan the one with the Chucky doll purse?
Oh, Sanda.
Yeah, there we go. I've already got onto her. She said it's a go.
It's a go. Come on.
She'll be all in. We've got a special thing with her. We're doing in July. We're going to a location I can't really say, but this location, I personally had one of the most crazy experiences I've ever had hunting. It was pretty intense, so we're taking her there, and she doesn't know where we're going. She doesn't know the story, and we're going to July. It's going to be good.
Yeah, we're surprising her, and we're bringing our film crew, and she's bringing her film crew, and we're going to like videotape all of it, and she has no idea what's coming for her.
Amazing. That sounds both exciting and ominous. So ominous.
That didn't sound very good, did it? She has no idea what's coming to her.
Yeah, both scary and exciting. I don't know what to do with that, but I look forward to hearing about it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We are at the end of our show now, so thank you so much. We will link where everyone can find you when the show, when everything's published on the page. Feel free to keep us updated with what you've got coming up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'll end saying thank you to everyone that's joined us this evening, and we will see you next week.